What if I told you? The world's most powerful kings weren't always the ones sitting on thrones. They were controlled by the men who controlled money. From Rothschilds to J.P. Morgan, these bankers held the true power, making kings and presidents bow to them. Here's how they did it. Let's begin with one of the most influential banking families in history, the Rothschilds. Their story isn't just about wealth, it's a masterclass in strategy, networking, and seizing historical moments. It all started with Meyer Amschel Rothschild, a dealer of rare coins in the Frankfurt ghetto. From these humble beginnings, he laid the groundwork for a financial empire that would soon span the entire continent of Europe. Their ascent truly began during the Napoleonic Wars in the early 19th century. While nations clashed on the battlefield, the Rothschilds recognized an unprecedented opportunity. They played a pivotal role in financing the British war effort against Napoleon. Through a sophisticated network, they smuggled gold to the Duke of Wellington's army, a logistical and financial feat that proved crucial in securing Britain's ultimate victory. Mayer's genius was sending his 5 sons to establish banks in the major European capitals: London, Paris, Frankfurt, Vienna, and Naples. This created an unrivaled international network. This network allowed them to move money and information faster than governments, making them the unseen financial power behind European monarchies and shaping national economies. Their ability to provide massive loans for wars, infrastructure, and trade made them indispensable to kings and ministers, cementing their status as one of the most powerful families in the world. Meanwhile, across the Atlantic, America was in the throes of its Gilded Age, a period of rapid industrialization and immense wealth creation. It was in this dynamic environment that John Pierpont Morgan, better known as J.P. Morgan, rose to become a towering figure of finance. Morgan wasn't merely one of the most influential bankers of his time. His power extended far beyond serving wealthy clients. Through his firm, J.P. Morgan & Co., he pioneered a process of consolidation known as Morganization, restructuring and merging companies to create massive, efficient corporations that dominated their industries. This power was never more apparent than in 1895. A severe economic depression had drained the U.S. Treasury's gold reserves, and the nation was on the verge of defaulting on its debts. With the government facing collapse, President Grover Cleveland had no choice but to turn to a private citizen. J.P. Morgan, leading a syndicate that included the Rothschilds, stepped in. He structured a deal to supply the U.S. Treasury with over $65 million in gold, stabilizing the economy and essentially saving the country from financial disaster. His influence didn't stop there. By financing and consolidating key industries like railroads, electricity with General Electric, and steel with the creation of U.S. Steel, Morgan fundamentally shaped the modern American economy. His power became so immense that it rivaled that of the government itself. Even formidable presidents like Theodore Roosevelt, known as the Trust Buster, had to negotiate and work with him to navigate the nation's complex financial landscape. J.P. Morgan was not just a banker, he was the central banker of his day, a financial architect who built the very foundations of corporate America. It wasn't just presidents who relied on bankers, kings and queens did too. In the 19th century, European monarchies often faced financial crises. Without wealth to fund their wars, expansions, and royal projects, they turned to the Rothschilds for support. The British royal family during Queen Victoria's reign was deeply involved with the Rothschilds, who helped finance the monarchy's expenses. They weren't just lenders, they were the unseen advisors, steering royal decisions. For centuries, private banking dynasties like the Rothschilds wielded immense power, providing the funds that allowed the British Empire to expand its colonies, influence European politics, and secure the monarchy's place in history. Their financial leverage was a hidden force shaping nations. But as the 19th century drew to a close, a new era was dawning. The very system that had granted these families such influence was about to be fundamentally transformed. Governments, seeking greater control over their economies and to prevent the financial panics that had plagued the era, began establishing central banking systems. In the United States, this culminated in the creation of the Federal Reserve in 1913. This institutional shift slowly diminished the direct, personal power of private families like the Rothschilds and J.P. Morgan. Their role as lenders of last resort was now formalized and absorbed by the state. However, the legacy of their influence remained. The fundamental principle that the control of money lay in the hands of a few powerful figures was not abolished but merely transferred. Now, those figures were part of government-backed institutions operating behind a veil of public authority. The age of the all-powerful private banker may have passed, but their story is a timeless lesson in the mechanics of power. It reminds us that to truly understand history, one must always follow the money. The names and faces change, but the power that flows from the control of capital remains the unseen hand that continues to shape our world.